Photosynthesis. Learning objectives. Explain the role of pigments in the process of photosynthesis. Describe the role of electron carrier molecules. Identify the reactants and products of photosynthesis. Our lives and the lives of nearly everything on the surface of Earth are made possible by the sun and the process of photosynthesis. In order for photosynthesis to occur, light energy from the sun must somehow be captured. Energy from the sun travels to Earth in the form of light. Sunlight, which our eyes perceive as white light, is actually a mixture of different wavelengths. Many of these wavelengths are visible to our eyes and make up what is known as the visible spectrum. Our eyes see the different wavelengths as a visible spectrum as different colors, shades of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and indigo, and violet. Photosynthetic organisms capture sunlight with pigments, principally with chlorophyll. Pigments are light-absorbing compounds, also known as chlorophyll, which is the green pigments in plants. The two types of chlorophyll found in plants are chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. They absorb light very well in the blue, violet, and red regions of the visible spectrum. However, chlorophyll does not absorb light well in the green region of the spectrum, but instead reflects it. That's why most leaves appear green. Photosynthesis takes place inside organelles called chloroplasts. Chloroplasts are surrounded by two envelope membranes, and they are filled with sac-like chlorophyll-containing membranes called thylakoids. These thylakoids are interconnected and arranged in stacks known as grana. The fluid-filled portion of the chloroplast outside the thylakoid is known as the stroma. In a chemical sense, the high-energy electrons produced by chlorophyll are highly reactive and require a special carrier. Think of a high-energy electron as being similar to a red-hot coal from a fireplace or campfire. If you wanted to move the coal from one place to another, you wouldn't pick it up with your hands. You would use a pan or a bucket, a carrier, to transport it. Plant cells treat these high-energy electrons in much the same way. An electron carrier is a compound that can accept a pair of high-energy electrons and transfer them along with most of their energy to another molecule. One of these carrier molecules is a compound known as NAD+. NADP+ accepts and holds two high-energy electrons along with a hydrogen ion, H+. This then converts the NADP+ into NADPH. The conversion of NADP+ into NADPH is one way in which some of the energy of the sunlight can be trapped in chemical form. The NADPH can carry the high-energy electrons that were produced by light absorption in chlorophyll to chemical reactions elsewhere in the chloroplasts. Those high-energy electrons can then be used to help build sugars like glucose from nothing more than carbon dioxide and water. Many steps are involved in the process of photosynthesis. However, the overall process of photosynthesis can be summarized in one sentence. Photosynthesis uses the energy of sunlight to convert water and carbon dioxide, low-energy reactants, into high-energy sugars and oxygen products. Plants use these sugars to produce complex carbohydrates such as starches and to provide energy for the synthesis of other compounds, including proteins and lipids. Because photosynthesis usually produces a 6-carbon sugar, C6H12O6, as the final product, the overall reaction for photosynthesis is shown as follows: 6CO2 plus 6H2O, yielding light, C6H12O6 plus 6O2. Although the equation for photosynthesis looks simple, there are many steps to get from the reaction in the final products. In fact, photosynthesis actually involves 2 sets of reactions: the light-dependent reaction and the light-independent reaction. The light-dependent reaction is called this because it actually depends on light. It devolves dependent reaction on light and light-absorbing pigments. The light-dependent reaction takes place in the thylakoid membrane and uses energy from sunlight to add a 3rd phosphate to ADP to make it ATP. The light-dependent reaction also does something truly remarkable, which it takes low-energy electrons from water molecules and uses solar energy to raise them to a much higher energy level. The oxygen atoms that are left over are released into the atmosphere as a byproduct. The light-independent reaction is called this because it is independent of light. Plants absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and complete the process of photosynthesis by producing carbon-containing sugars and other carbohydrates. During the light-independent reaction, the ATP and NADPH molecules produced in the light-dependent reaction are used to build high-energy sugars from carbon dioxide. As the name implies, no light is required to power the light-independent reaction, which takes place outside the thylakoids, in the stroma of the chloroplasts. The interdependent relationship between the light-dependent and the light-independent reaction are seen in the diagram below. The 2 sets of reaction work together to capture the energy of sunlight and transform it into energy-rich compounds such as carbohydrates.